named member of the Trump administration, a former Apprentice contestant. Adam Shapiro with the Fox Business Network reporting.
Rosa Manigault, she's going to be the leader of the Public Liaison Office. Last night on Fox News' Kelly File. Here's what she said.
My role is to go into the communities and continue an extension of the work that I was doing already on the campaign and with the National Diversity Coalition.
Investigators say it could be days before they learn what caused yesterday's commuter train crash in Brooklyn, New York, which left more than 100 people hurt.
The event recorders will provide them with a variety of information, including the speed and the braking system on the train.
Linda Schmidt with Fox News New York affiliate WNYW. Fox News. We report, you decide.
And now, Geico Saving Stories. Nikki Peasley was happily married to Scott. However, something between them changed after Scott spent 15 minutes on Geico.com.
Constant gifts, chocolates, flowers, like he discovered a cash tree.
Cash tree, indeed. Unbeknownst to Nikki, Scott had saved hundreds of dollars on their car insurance by switching to Geico.
His gifts never stop.
Geico. Spend 15 minutes and 15% or more in savings could be gifted to you.
Pay fast with the Master Pass. Don't buy it, Master Pass it. Pay fast with the Master Pass. Simple and easy. Pay fast with the Master Pass. Don't buy it, Master Pass it. Pay fast with the Master Pass. Secure and so easy.
MasterPass, the simple, secure way to pay from MasterCard. Accepted at select merchants.
Don't buy it, MasterPass it.
Hi, I'm Big Daddy Don Garlitz, asking you to support adoption by purchasing a Choose Life license plate from your county tag office. You know it costs a lot to give a child life. Many times a woman is forced to make a bad choice because of financial pressures. Help save the lives of the unborn children by aiding women whom choose life instead of abortion. Take a stand for life. Purchase your Choose Life license plate today. For more information, go to chooselife.org or call 352-624-2854.
Cookies, 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 cookies. We go cookie eating cookies.
When you want something special and fun for any occasion, get cookies. King Cookie in the Paddock Mall in Ocala will make a delicious, fun-filled delight just for you. So next time you're in the mall, stop by King Cookie or call 352-237-2557. KingCookieOcala.com. Customized cookies, cakes, and more. King Cookie.
Eating cookies. We're so happy eating cookies. Cookies!
Career Source Citrus Levy Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source Citrus Levy Marion and learn how they can help you.
Hey, I'm Gary.
And I'm Eric. Did you know that Red Eye Radio is on WOCA The Source every night from 2 to 6 a.m. and it's live?
That's right. No tape shows here.
We know that the news doesn't sleep.
And neither do we. So we're here with you live from 2 till 6 a.m. every weekday. Call us 866-90-RIDE. So join me, Gary McNamara.
And me, Eric Harley, every weeknight to discuss the latest in news and entertainment.
Right here on WOCA The Source.
If you or a loved one is suffering with knee, shoulder, neck or back pain, plantar fasciitis, peripheral neuropathy, and even tennis elbow, and would like to learn about how there are treatments that may benefit you, go to drjuanyordan.com, then listen in on the first and third Thursday at 10 a.m. and hear from health professionals doing these treatments and patients who have benefited from them. First and third Thursdays, 10 a.m. Next Generation MD, right here on The Source.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala!
right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this morning. The story that's getting a lot of people talking this morning is about the 4 people, I think, who were arrested. They had a person bound and duct taped in the corner, and they were torturing him, and they were saying F Donald Trump, and it's an interesting story out of Chicago. There was this is not connected to it, but yesterday there was an editorial in the Chicago Sun-Times website, and I'll just read the first part of it as a way to introduce you to our next guest. The first part of the editorial says, "Whatever New York City is doing to keep people from killing each other, it's working, and Chicago had better start paying attention. In 2016, murders in Chicago soared to 762 by one count, while homicides in New York, already ridiculously low by comparison, declined to 335. The difference should shame Chicago. New York, a city with 3 times the population, had 56% fewer murders. On Wednesday, officials in New York credited their city's most recent drop in homicides to a focused crackdown on violent gangs, which Chicago officials insist is also happening here, meaning in Chicago. But if so, it ain't working as well. Gang-related killings in New York dropped to just 79 last year, while gang-related killings in Chicago rolled up to 460. If you go to Chicago, you are not allowed, and I'm going to be corrected if I'm wrong, but I think you're not allowed to bring your gun with you. So just so you know, they can have guns. They're okay with having guns as long as you have the right permit. But the outlaws don't care about permits, right?
No, they don't.
You've heard this over and over.
Oh, sure.
Larry Pratt is on the phone. Larry is the executive director emeritus.
Yes.
Is that what you say? Of Gun Owners of America. He's talking to us about 2 things. The top 10 in 2016 highlights the top 10 accomplishments of Gun Owners of America the year that just ended. And also there's a House Resolution number 38 he wants to talk to us about. Larry Pratt, good morning, sir. How are you?
Well, good morning. While you were doing the setup for our discussion, I did a little math. If I remember, it was 300 and some murders in New York City.
Yeah.
And the city fathers are saying, "Oh, that's a chest thumper. We are so proud.
Right.
That is so good."
Right.
All right. I live in Gun Owners of America is located in Fairfax County, Virginia. We're somewhat over 1 million people. Let's just say 1 million. We're very urban. Come drive with us some rush hour, you'll agree. New York is about 8 million, if my memory serves.
Yeah.
So let's just multiply the numbers from Fairfax County by 8 to get something comparable for Chicago.
Okay.
Some years we don't have any murders, but let's take a year that we might have 3. 3 murders versus Chicago's 300 plus. I think that's 100 times more.
Yeah. Chicago had 762. New York had 335.
Had 335. Okay.
Yeah.
So I shifted in midstream. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
So they're a little over 100 times worse off in terms of violent murder, and that's probably with firearms, although it could be all murders.
You don't know.
Be that as it may, it's a lot more violent there, and yet in Fairfax County, Virginia, I'm sitting here with a concealed carry firearm, really easy to get. You have to pay a few bucks. You're going to be plus the gun, plus the ammo. But most people can afford that, although I was talking to a guy last night that probably can't. In any case, in Chicago, in New York City, let me get back to New York, you're sort of double dog dared to get a concealed carry permit. Very few people get them because the city fathers have intentionally made it hard. I took my exam online. Okay.
Right. But can Larry, I want to make a point. If I understand what you're saying is that we don't know, just based on this article, we don't know how many of those murders were committed with a gun. But you know this. You know your attacker is coming at you with a gun or a knife, you know that if you have a gun, chances are he's going to be the one on the ground and not you.
Or he's going to be running. You know, when you get to be like I am, well over 50, you don't run so good no more, and so you're just going to resort to a piece. And so some punk wants to come at you with whatever, as you're saying, it could be an array of weapons. It doesn't matter. You're going to shoot. You really don't have a whole lot of options. And it works beautifully in Fairfax County. Some years we even have a lower murder rate than they do in merry old England, which is justly proud of its low murder rate, although it's the fourth most violent, crime-ridden country in the world. It's just nice that after they've raped you, they don't kill you. After they've robbed you, they don't kill you.
Did you see? Did you see the story that's making the rounds this morning of that kid in the corner of a room, and they're kind of
in Chicago
taunting him? In Chicago, they're taunting him and they're saying nasty things to him. And if that, I don't know if he was mentally troubled or not. I can't. I think the news said that.
There was something comparable. I had to sort it out when you were reporting it because there was a disabled guy that was picked on in a very comparable fashion. He was being beat up. I don't know that he was quote unquote tortured. Like I think this kid was tied and bound and gagged, but this other guy had a tar whooped out of him on the street, and they were saying some of the same things about Trump, and there were some racist taunts that they were tossing at the guy. Those kinds of things would not very likely happen in Fairfax County, Virginia. And by the way, you can own a machine gun in Fairfax County. We are gunned up, baby. Here in Fairfax County.
Love that.
All right, so years ago we had a congressman who's no longer in office, Congressman Cliff Stearns, and he had come in here to talk to us about some legislation that would allow gun owners to go to any state as long as their state allowed them to have a gun. They could take a gun anywhere, and I don't know exactly how that works. Is that the same thing as House Resolution 38? Is that the same thing?
It sure is, yes. Mr. Hudson of North Carolina has introduced it. If anything, it's been tweaked and probably even somewhat better than the version that Stearns had quite some time ago. And it would say that, say you come from Vermont and you go to Chicago. Vermont does not have concealed carry permits. Anybody can carry in Vermont, just don't go rob a bank or something like that. But otherwise, you can carry concealed in Vermont and everything's fine. You go to Illinois under the Hudson bill, and as long as you got your Vermont driver's license with you, you're one of folks from a dozen states that can carry anywhere in the country just with a driver's license.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That is a great improvement. It means all of a sudden, if, say, San Francisco, which is quite anti-gun, has let's just say a cattleman's convention, my guess is that a lot of those fellas would be coming to town packing. They'd be doing it legally, and probably the crime rate would go down while they're in town.
Can I ask you a question? Is Eric Pratt, is that your son?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
He's where the torch has been handed, and he's doing a lot of the nitty-gritty directing, and I just sit around and pontificate and talk about things.
So when he was a little boy, did you take him to the gun range and teach him about gun safety and all that?
Went to range, we went to rural properties and just got familiar with firearms. I've already had, I guess she was about 6 at the time, a granddaughter fire a gun, obviously under very circumstances, and it was a big boomer, for goodness sakes. It was a 22. But when she saw how almost obsessive we were about handling the gun in a particular way, that in itself was a lesson. That you handle this very carefully, very respectfully, and if you don't, you're going to get whooped.
And that's one of the most important things, because I know my children were real young when my husband took them out hunting for the first time. But before they went, he would take them out shooting. He, taught them about gun safety and everything. I mean, and then yet there are other parents and people out there that feel they can just pick a gun and know how to use it and not go through safety courses.
Right, and by and large, any level of instruction, as long as it comes with the idea that, okay, now this is very dangerous. You got to be always careful where you're pointing it, what's on the other side of whatever you're pointing it at. Those kinds of things, I've heard people talk to their youngsters in those terms, and I think most Americans, most gun owners, pretty sensible about handling guns because they realize a gun's made to kill. So you obviously got to handle it with care.
Let me take a little break, and we will continue our discussion on the other side of the break. Larry Pratt is our guest, and he's the Executive Director Emeritus of Gun Owners of America. The word emeritus, I never understood what it means.
It means I got a gray hair.
So we're talking about gun ownership, and we haven't yet talked about the Gun Owner of America's report titled Top 10 of 2016, so I want to make sure we talk on that a little bit. And plus, I wanted to ask Mr. Pratt about legislation that isn't threatening to take away the gun, but instead is insisting that we register the gun. And I don't know, it's kind of like a gray area for me, and I just wanted somebody to give an opinion who's thought about it more than I have. So let's take that break right now, and we'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Pleasant this afternoon, high 75 to 80. Partly cloudy this evening with areas of late night fog and a low of 51 to 56. Look for areas of fog tomorrow morning, otherwise variable cloudiness with a shower thunderstorm in the afternoon. High 76 to 80. Windy and not as warm Saturday. Periods of rain and a thunderstorm into the early afternoon. High 68 to 78. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Hi, my name is Erica Olstein. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine. So, you used to be wired, now you're just tired. You used to be thin, but now you're the heaviest you've ever been. You don't necessarily always have to take a med if your thyroid is playing dead. If you have a thyroid disorder, an acupuncture visit may be in order. Come visit me, your primary care physician, Erica Olstein, at a Healthcare. Call me at 352-615-5566.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transfer funds. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Gene and Debbie would like to thank you for another successful year of business. We want to wish everybody a safe, healthy, and prosperous 2017. We are ready to be of service with our pasture mowing. 352-629-2440. Locally owned and operated. Experienced and reliable. Commercial and residential. Licensed and insured. Powell Gene, Gene at yahoo.com. 352-629-2440. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. 352-629-2440. Proud United States veteran.
When you go into Automax, Marion County's #1 pre-owned dealer for over 15 years, you won't take the new car depreciation because Automax saves you thousands on late model vehicles. Browse the inventory online at automaxocala.com. Then come down to see the great vehicles and upfront pricing in person. Compare up to 60 models inside the climate control showroom. So take your time. No high pressure, no gimmicks, no games. On the corner of 17th and Easy Street. Automax. Quality cars, outlet prices.
All right, I'm glad Larry told me what emeritus means. It means he's got gray hair. That's all it means.
Yeah.
So okay, Larry Pratt is on the phone. Larry Pratt is on the phone. We're talking about gun ownership. His son, Eric Pratt, is the Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Larry is the Executive Director Emeritus, and we've spoken to Larry many times
we have.
in the past. I wanted to tell you a little, I want to share with you a little conversation, Larry, that we had on the radio one time. Let me be honest with you. I'm not as savvy about this stuff as you are, and that's why I love listening to what you have to say. So I'm going to give you an example of a moment when I was not as savvy. We were talking about legislation that I think President Obama was talking about, and the legislation would require everybody to register every sale of every gun every time. And I don't see why that's a problem. That doesn't seem so. I mean, it doesn't take away your gun. It gives you still have your gun. And we had a listener who called up, and he kind of set me straight. Now, I don't know if you're going to agree or disagree with the listener, but what the listener said is that if I own a gun under the new legislation that he's proposing, which I guess never went through, but if I own a gun, I can't even pass it down to my son. So you couldn't pass it down to Eric without first jumping through the red tape loopholes, whatever they call it, right?
And so that is correct.
And so,
we'd have to go to a dealer. He'd do a background check. The government then has that information. They're not supposed to keep a record of it, but after the NSA listened to everybody's phone call in the country, and they weren't supposed to do that either, does anybody think that with guns they'd be less interested in keeping?
So it's these kinds of conversations that I think are important, and that's why I'm glad you do the radio tours. I know it's probably a pain talking to us radio guys every half hour, new guy, but
no, you talk to a lot of people. It's hardly a pain for somebody like me to sit in my office and then have an audience brought in by your hard work. So, no, it's off to you. Thanks for what you do.
Well, and thank you. Okay, can we talk about the legislation? Let's just talk about that first. That I just referred to. So that never passed, and it would have some problems, wouldn't it? Like the example we just gave.
It would, and it just assumes that government is completely honest and trustworthy. And I think after the IRS scandal, after trying to take guns away from veterans based on medical histories or because they had somebody doing their bookkeeping. I know people in their 30s that are making a lot more money than I am, and they're very busy, and they have a bookkeeper writing their checks. Under Obama's interpretation, that would have meant they were incompetent and couldn't own a gun. Obama told the world about a month or so ago, maybe two, my greatest disappointment has been the little accomplishments we've had in the area of firearms.
Well, that was a horrible imitation.
I know.
We're just so sorry. But yes, he's going to have to leave office disappointed. But I think we have an opportunity to do something which he would have vetoed, and we didn't have quite the votes to override, but we sure have the votes to pass, and that's the National Concealed Carry Recognition Bill. So what it would mean is that if you have a concealed carry permit in Florida and you go to a convention in, say, Chicago, which is, you almost have to crawl over glass to get a concealed carry permit in Chicago when you live there, let alone they don't like you coming in from any place else with one of those, and they don't permit it. Well, they would have to, under this bill that Representative Hudson, H.R. 38, has introduced, Senator Cornyn, we think will do it again in the Senate, and it simply says that if your concealed carry permit will have to be treated under Article 4 of the Constitution, where states have to recognize the acts of other states. Your concealed carry permit will be treated the same as your Florida driver's license.
That's basically the way I can understand it. You know, of the 762 murders in Chicago, the 335 in New York, and whatever other numbers there are, if they just pick out any one of those murderers who committed the murder with a gun, what would the president say to anybody to defend the registration? Would he say, look, the guy didn't have it registered, otherwise he wouldn't have killed anybody? I don't get that. I mean,
you're absolutely right. There's a disconnect, and if you look at the data, Canada has registered handguns since the late 30s. 1930s. We're getting close to 100 years.
Yeah, right.
It does not solve crimes. But yet there's a big bureaucracy, and all that information is in the hands of the Canadian government, and it's not a crime-fighting tool. And that's been the problem and our practical objection, apart from constitutional, to the background check from the very beginning. It does not solve crimes. It might have resulted in nearly 40, give or take, prosecutions in the last year of record. Well, obviously, more guns have been used in crimes than 40. It just doesn't give prosecutors the kind of tool that they're looking for. If you don't find the gun in the perp's pocket, you very well are not likely to be able to connect it. And the fact that the gun was registered to a legitimate buyer breaks the chain of registration, if you will, once the gun has been stolen or sold illegally.
Right.
So come on, let's just take a deep breath and realize that criminals get guns. Why are we making it so hard, or at least in some places talking about making it so hard for the good guys to get a gun?
Right. Yeah.
It boggles the mind. And when Chicago, they were finally under court order compelled to issue concealed carry permits about 2-3 years ago. Almost immediately, an Uber driver had managed to get one of these permits. He must be a pretty impressive guy. And he saw a gangbanger start to shoot into a group of people. It looked like it was probably a gang war type of thing. He got out of his car and he shot and stopped the gangbanger from carrying out a mass murder.
Yeah.
So one guy with a pistol stops a guy in those circumstances. That alone seems to me pretty dramatic evidence that a good guy with a gun is a desirable thing.
Oh, and it's going to be old hat for the listeners here in Ocala, but there's a story out of Ocala, and you might be familiar with it, of a gun owner who was visiting one of the local internet cafes, which I think they've outlawed since then. But
this was 2-3 years ago.
Yes, and two guys come in. They're trying to rob everybody, and the old man with the gun saves the day. And the video was viral. It was all over the country.
It did go viral, and thus we did take note of it here at Gun Owners of America.
Yeah.
It's been at least probably 3 years, maybe 5. But yes, it's an amazing thing that, and I'm sure the perp didn't expect a guy with either gray or no hair to stand up and shoot.
Right. They did. But here's the thing: they did expect it. But what if they did expect it? They wouldn't have gone in the first place.
That is also a very important point. We have found that violent crime goes down following the enactment of concealed carry legislation. When Florida enacted it, it's actually put in the Constitution, it had been, before the concealed carry was legal, it had been above the national murder rate. It fell precipitously after people started legally carrying concealed firearms. So it made a very dramatic, measurable difference. And the opposition was trying to call Florida the gunshine state. Well, you notice that you don't hear it anymore because crime in Florida, if you'll pardon the way of expressing it, got shot down.
Yeah. I want to again repeat that I'm not savvy at this topic. I appreciate it, though. I get where you're coming from, but I can't speak as eloquently about it or as knowledgeably about it as you and your son can.
Well, that's all we do.
That's what you do.
So my hat's off to you for handling a gazillion different subjects, sometimes in the same day. And all I have to do is bone up on this firearms issue. There's a lot to it, but not anything like what a general commentator has to do in your situation. So I don't think you need to apologize.
I appreciate the fact that you recognize that. I just want to make sure we say goodbye in a way that you know that we appreciate what you do. And
let me invite people to go to gunowners.org. We got a free email alert, and that's our chief lobbying tool. It lets people know what the Congress is doing.
That is exactly what I wanted you to say. Gunowners.org. Larry Pratt, thank you so much for being on the air with us. Stay safe.
Wonderful to be with you guys. Thanks so much.
All right, this is WOCA Ocala.
1870 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The U.S. intelligence report on foreign meddling in U.S. elections has now gone to President Obama. The same morning, the Senate Armed Services Committee hearing from intel officials. National Intelligence Director James Clapper not backing down from findings. The Russian government directed cyber hacking with the intent to meddle in our elections.
We stand actually more resolutely on the strength of that statement that we made on the 7th of October.
The president-elect expressing skepticism Russia was behind the election hacking. Osama bin Laden's son Hamza bin Laden added to the counterterrorism sanctions list by the U.S. Treasury, and charges are expected against 4 people Chicago police say beat a mentally challenged man in an attack broadcast live on Facebook.
Held him at knife point, forcing him to speak against Donald Trump.
Fox's Matt Finn, Fox News. We report, you decide.